Morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners agenda setting work session for Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. If you'd like to listen in, the phone number is 360-252-9020, and the PIN number is 1234. I'm John Hutchings, the chair of the board. Also present is Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Menser. Commissioner Gary Edwards is excused this morning, and we have County Manager Romeo Chavez. And do we have Robin Campbell on with us?
I don't see, but she will probably join us here in a minute.
Okay. And we have 18 other folks that have joined us, so I'm not going to go through that list. It's extensive, very good people, and they'll be popping in and out all morning long. So with that, I'm going to turn to, we have Director Shelley Slaughter from Public Health and Social Services and Dr. Dimiana Abdulmalik, our County Public Health Officer. And I'm going to let you tell us what is what now, and be positive.
I wish that I could, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioners. Unfortunately, I don't have positive news to share again this week. Statewide COVID cases to date are at 118,570 Washingtonians that have tested positive for COVID-19 since this pandemic began. In Thurston County, we are now at 2,121 cases. This is as of yesterday. On the governor's risk assessment dashboard, that puts us at the high transmission rate of 96.6 cases per 100,000 population over 2 weeks. We have set another unfortunate record with 189 cases in the last week. That is our highest week of COVID-19 cases since this pandemic began. We've had 39 Thurston County residents die of COVID-19, with 5 of those deaths occurring in the last week. In terms of testing, to date, there have been 64,432 tests for COVID-19 occurring in Thurston County by various healthcare providers. That's an average of about 502 tests per day. And our positivity rate continues to rise, and that's 4.3%. In terms of our outbreaks, which has led to in some of these cases, and Dr. Abdulmalik may elaborate on that shortly here, we've had 21 congregate care settings since the pandemic, with 11 that Public Health and Social Services staff is working on currently investigating, and that includes 4 new outbreaks in congregate care facilities in the last week. Our hospital capacity is at 73.9% of regular beds occupied. Our hospitals are a regional healthcare provider and tend to run at high capacity. That is still within acceptable limits per the Washington Safe Start Plan, and they do have surge capacity plans in the event that more beds are needed. And we continue to work closely with our hospital partners on that. COVID occupancy is at 5.4%. The target is to be less than 10%, but nevertheless, there are 26 hospitalized patients with COVID-19 in our local hospitals, not necessarily all Thurston County residents. However, that is also at an all-time high for our local hospitals. And with that, I will pass it to Dr. Abdulmalik to add some further remarks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Our transmission rates do continue to rise. And today, as Director Slaughter said, we're at 96.6 cases per 100,000 over 14 days. And state projections show that we're likely to cross the 100 cases per 100,000 over 14 days threshold in the near future. And our transmission rates keep going up. This increase in transmission is in part due to some of the outbreaks in our county. However, as our long-term care facilities don't exist in a vacuum, there are folks that work there and come home to their families. And so a lot of what we're seeing in our numbers this week is just community spread rather than just focused within facilities, which makes this a bit more concerning because it's, out throughout our community. When we have community spread like this, it makes it much more likely for us to see outbreaks in workplaces, and in other facilities around the county and in places where people gather. And that's what we're seeing now. So this past Friday, I made the difficult decision to recommend remote learning for our K-12 learners until January 2021, while maintaining in-person learning opportunities for cohorted groups of 6 students with the highest needs. And I've been meeting with some of our heads of schools and our superintendents, and they know the communities they serve. And so there's deliberate latitude in helping each school and each district find ways to include folks that have the highest needs for that in-person learning, even as the risk of transmission in our county as a whole increases. In our county, we have had instances of transmission in educational settings. And as community transmission increases, we are seeing more folks come into educational and other institutional and workplace settings with COVID-19, and that's to be expected, but it does put those folks at risk. We have as Director Slaughter mentioned, we have started to see a bit of strain in our hospital capacity with a significant increase in number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19. And that hospital capacity is critical in our ability to care for folks who become severely ill from the disease. We are ramping up our public health capacity to meet this challenge as well. My goal is to have our K-12 learners in school while keeping our communities safe. So we need to make sure that we have all of the tools in place, and that our community transmission level, our hospital capacity, our public health capacity are all in a position where we can safely accommodate both our learners and those who work with and support them in our educational institutions. As we learn more from state and national data and experiences, my hope is that we'll find new tools and new ways that we can incorporate to serve Thurston County. I just want to remind all of us that we each have a role to play in making this happen. And it's by doing what we've been doing since the beginning. There's been a lot of robust data on the efficacy of just these mitigation measures. So mask wearing in public, maintaining that 6 feet of social distancing with non-household members, staying home when sick, and crucially, getting tested early when you have symptoms, and staying home when instructed to by public health, even if you feel fine, and keeping your child home when instructed to by public health, even if they look fine or feel fine. In addition to avoiding large gatherings, covering coughs and sneezes and good hand hygiene. While we are facing a significant challenge in our county in terms of mitigating and doing our best to contain the spread of this disease, I know if we all work together, we can get there. And I do look forward to a return to public life. Thank you.
We all do, Doc. Ty, any questions or comments for Shelley or Dr. A?
No, I guess I'm sure you guys are aware of it, but I just first heard yesterday about this new technology that they're going to try to, state is piloting and intends to roll out next month, and where the phones, people's keys on their phones, and it's very complicated, but actually pretty interesting, and sounds like it's, privacy is protected, and it could be a useful tool. So I'm sure we'll have more discussions about how to get, the more people that participate. It's totally voluntary, but the more people participate, the more, the more effect it can have. So maybe at the Board of Health later, we can talk a little bit more about it, because obviously this is a briefing for the commissioners, and this afternoon we'll be able to maybe talk to the public a little bit, just to preview for them, because I hadn't heard of it before. I'm sure most of the public hasn't quite heard it yet, although they're ramping up a public information campaign as we speak. So,
Did you want to comment on that?
I'll be happy to share more information at the Board of Health about that. I've been involved in conversations with the state about Thurston County participating in that pilot, and they are going forward statewide. So happy to share more later.
thanks, Shelley.
Very nice.
I have a question, if I may.
Certainly.
Shelley or Dr. Al-Malik, can you provide some information related to the preparations for a potential vaccine? Yesterday, we all over the news, Pfizer announced there was on the final stages, and perhaps they're going to be asking the federal government for an expedited approval of this, what appears to be on the news, 90% effective vaccine, which that particular vaccine, based on my understanding, requires a storage of sub-zero storage. And I know within your circles, you already have been talking about, the steps that perhaps we need to take when a vaccine becomes available. Could you elaborate some of that this morning?
Dr. A, do you want to jump in and I can add to it?
Sure. So I am cautiously optimistic about the Pfizer vaccine and the results. It does require sub-zero temperatures, which does limit where it can be stored long term. We are looking at the capacity of our community partners to figure out the best ways to distribute it to our community, given that where it can be stored for a prolonged period of time is fairly limited due to those stringent conditions. It will take time so as far as the EUA from the FDA, we're still a few weeks out at the earliest for the vaccine, and then Pfizer will need to ramp up production. There are many people in line to get this vaccine. I believe that the most recent estimates that I've seen is that they're aiming for enough for 15 to 20 million total courses by the end of the year, in the next few months. So a course would be the two dose treatment, of which a proportion would then come to Washington State and then be allocated by county. I know that when you think about it, that means that there, when we initially get the vaccine, there isn't going to be enough for everyone. So we're already thinking about who's at the highest risk and prioritizing those folks. I know that we, in coordination with the state, are thinking that it will likely it could potentially be healthcare workers, essential workers in long-term care facilities, but depending on the specifics of the vaccine and the specifics of what we know about it, I know that we're going to be looking at how to best benefit our entire community with the number of doses of vaccine that we receive. I know that that there's still studies on the vaccine regarding efficacy in folks that are older than 65. And I know that, and they're still doing some subgroup analysis. And I also know that that they're also figuring out slowly how whether it's effective and safe in children as well. So initially the trials included folks 18 and up, and my understanding is that it recently rolled back to 16 and up and potentially as young as 12 and up. So but just figuring out that safety piece going forward is also in process. So we're at I am cautiously optimistic. There's a lot of work to be done, and a lot of planning that we're doing to make all of this happen.
Well said, Dr. Abdelmalek. I'll just add that as part of our incident management team, we do have a vaccine branch that is engaged in our local planning efforts and coordinating with our state vaccination planning efforts as well. And to include prioritizing populations, communication strategies, distribution, engaging our community partners. And we're ready to transition testing sites to vaccine sites in the future here in Thurston County. So we're excited about this and hopeful that we'll have more vaccine, or we will have vaccine available as soon as before the end of the year, most likely for the broader public next year.
One of the advantages of being the chair of the board and going last is my questions get asked. So that was nice. Thank you, Romero. My question is, I know you're aware of Department of Corrections transferring some COVID-19 inmates into Thurston County from a correctional facility. And so my question is, I don't know if you're gonna know the answers to these or not. Have those individuals been released, or are they still in custody technically? Do we know?
No, sir. We don't have any information about that.
We don't know, okay. And if they were to be requiring hospitalization, would they go from whence they came to be hospitalized, or would they use our local facilities?
I would imagine anyone with COVID-19 that is in Thurston County, depending upon their medical situation, would seek the closest care possible.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I've been asking for a couple of weeks, or not asking, but I've been stating my concern from other states and or other counties coming into Thurston with our hospital bed capacity. And right now it's at 73.9%. So I'm just concerned that if we reach capacity, do we revert back? Do we go backwards? Do we wait for the governor? What do we do at that point? If we get inundated and get past that 100,000 in 2 weeks, but the 96.6% or cases rather per 100,000 in 2 weeks. If we bust that, what do we do? What's the next step?
Our local hospitals are engaged in their surge planning. Since last year, when the pandemic began, those efforts started, and they're ready to activate plans if needed. So I'm confident in our local hospitals that they have good plans in place for that. And also all of our hospitals in the state of Washington, through the Washington State Hospital Association and other groups, work very closely together to coordinate care. And I know Director Hardin's on the line here and works closely in terms of when we need to transport patients outside of the county, which occasionally happens. But right now they're working very closely to ensure that all COVID patients in the state of Washington have places to go and that we have sufficient hospital capacity within our state. And locally we do. So I hope that answers your question.
At this point, it does. Thank you. And Dr. Abdul-Malik, thank you very much for your due care and caution for our students with your letter regarding remote learning, because it's a concern for so many. And it was a nice picture of you in the paper too, by the way. So I have no other questions. Any other questions, Ty, or comments?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then thank you very much for that. And now we're going to move on to our homeless strategy with Keely Marino. Keely, yay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Public Health and Social Services. I just have a brief update for you today, primarily about the eviction prevention and rental assistance program that Community Action Council has been facilitating. There have been 1,187 appointments made serving 663 Thurston County households. They have allocated out at almost $2 million already in funds. So we're very appreciative of their hard work. So many households being helped by those funds, and that will continue. That effort will continue through December. Our team, so Tom Webster and myself, continue to meet with City of Olympia and other jurisdictional partners to discuss possibilities for safe parking programs. We don't have anything solid yet. We're meeting this afternoon with a potential provider to talk about what that might look like, what their capacity is, and how operations might look before we can put forth an actual proposition for a program. We'll be looking at sites with City of Olympia staff during this week, and we'll just continue plowing forward, looking for alternatives for folks that are living aboard their vehicles in Thurston County. On the note of safe parking, the Department of Enterprise Services is continuing their rulemaking process. They'll be having a second sounding board session. I have reached out to them to get the confirmation on that date. And as soon as I get that date, I will pass it on to you, Board of County Commissioners. So if you would like to attend, you may attend. So I'm sorry I don't have that information right at this moment, but I will certainly forward it on. And that's all I have for you this morning.
Okay, Ty?
You say am I to assume from what you said that the shooting range parking lot is not going to be suitable? Because you said you're looking for sites. I thought that was the identified site.
That is an identified potential site. We're looking at various options, but we're continuing to look at that site. In fact, that is a site we're visiting later this week.
And I think I read somewhere that Olympia had projected like up to 25 RVs could be sited there. Is that an accurate number?
That's what I understand. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and which may not be enough, frankly, right? For how many there we have.
Correct.
Okay.
It's also important to remember we have only 240 beds, shelter beds, and over 1,000 unsheltered individuals. So in all ways, we are lacking in support for unsheltered folks.
The micro shelters that were in the newspaper, I think yesterday. And I'm just wondering, I didn't get a chance to read the article. I just saw the headline as I walked in today. So I'm just wondering where that, what's the timing of that and where things stand with that project.
My understanding is that the timing is for those shelters to be completed would be in the next several months. I don't have any hard dates on that, but I know that City of Olympia is working really quickly to get the materials as well as folks to construct those structures, either volunteers or potentially hiring folks from the mitigation site to help. I have not had an update from the City of Olympia on precisely where they are in that process.
Okay. thought I'd seen some communication that suggested that there was an agreement with one of the labor unions, and they were trying to work with the port on like a sort of a place that they could do the work, like an kind of an empty warehouse that the port could allow the construction work, that all the prep work to happen. So it seemed like there were some pieces coming together. I just wasn't sure if that all came together, or if that was just sort of a proposal. You're not sure though, sounds like.
I don't have anything solid to say, but that's my understanding as well.
Okay.
That was my question was regarding micro shelters, and that there was a nice video of on the Olympian posted on how they're being built, and they're being built by Youth Build.
Mhm.
Do you know about? Can you tell us about Youth Build?
Sure. Youth Build is a program that operates in Tumwater at the New Market facility, and it is a program of community youth services, and it is an alternative to getting your diploma or GED for young people at risk for not acquiring a GED or a diploma. And so they work with staff there over the year to learn the construction trade, so both the back end and the front end, and build projects. And so a number of tiny houses have been built by the Youth Build youth. And according to the article, it sounds like Youth Build will be constructing at least 8 of these micro houses.
That's a beautiful thing. Public and private, old and young, everybody coming together
Yeah.
to do this is wonderful. I had the same questions that Ty had. Roberto, do you have anything?
No, sir. Thank you.
Keely, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. We're going to now review the BoCC agenda for this afternoon. And we have a Board of Health meeting after that, and we have 2 public hearings. We have an action-packed afternoon. So we'll start with the Board of County Commissioners meeting for this afternoon at 2 o'clock, November 10th. We'll call the meeting to order at 2. Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Ty Menser. Approval of the minutes and the board of meeting minutes from last week, and approval of the agenda. And then at 2:05, we'll have a public health and social services presentation, proclamation for Veterans Day.
Yeah, Commissioners, thank you. This afternoon, you will have the opportunity to have a proclamation in celebration of tomorrow, November 11, 2020, as Veterans Day. The proclamation is within your packet, and I believe it's been circulated for signatures. Mark Muffet from Public Health and Social Services will be presenting the item. And if you have any questions for him, he's available this morning.
Any questions of Mark? Or
No.
comments? Okay.
Nope.
Nor do I. It's very straightforward, and we've done it for years, and it's appropriate. Thanks for joining us anyway, Mark. Then we have a presentation for National Adoption Day from Superior Court.
Yes, Commissioners. Also for your consideration is to proclaim November 19, 2020 as National Adoption Day. And it will give you the opportunity to proclaim this very important program the Superior Court has as part of the juvenile court. And Pam Harmon-Bayer from Superior Court will be in attendance this afternoon to present the item, and will give you the opportunity to highlight the importance of this proclamation as well.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Ty?
No.
Okay. Then agenda item number 1 is opportunity for public comment.
I would assume that you probably will be receiving a couple of comments related to the budget. Also, and I don't know if you will be receiving comments on the Board of County Commissioners or maybe on the Board of Health related to Dr. Al-Damalek's recommendation to the school districts to have online learning all the way until January 2021. We have received a couple of emails from citizens related to that, so you may be receiving public testimony related to that particular item. And again, I don't know if you will receive on the Commissioners meeting or perhaps also on the Board of Health, but that's what I'm tracking.
Okay, thank you. County Manager's update.
Yes, I will follow up with a couple of updates related to 2 public testimonies. One was related to the no shooting zone in Black Lake, and also from Mr. Terry Ballard related to allegations of voting fraud. And I'd like to follow up with that. If you like, I can probably walk you through that, the specifics of my response right now, or we do have an item later on your agenda this morning under public testimony where I can elaborate in more detail my response.
Yeah, and in retrospect, regarding that, that comment seemed to be electioneering, right on the edge of electioneering. Do you want to hear Romero's response now, or do you want to hear it this afternoon, Ty?
No, this morning, later on your agenda this morning, I have a public testimony item.
Oh, okay. Okay, then.
I'm not interested in the voter fraud. I am interested in the Black Lake issue.
You want to hear that now or later this morning?
I don't care when.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. Yeah.
Maybe
So we can do
later
that.
on when we have more time, I can probably elaborate on that.
Yeah, thank you. That's the only issue I'm really concerned with is the no shooting ordinance around Black Lake, any other place in the county. The other issue is a moot point. Then we have consent items A and B, and the first one is the Sheriff's Office, a resolution establishing positions.
Yeah, Commissioners, for your consideration, and this is part of your budget conversations as well. That is related to what we call the satellite courtroom, which is being built, yeah. And right now, hopefully, will be under operation in the next couple of weeks, which is located in Chandler Court, just about a couple of blocks away from the courthouse. One thing is just creating the space and also all the amenities associated with the requirements of a courthouse, the courtroom. They also require staffing that needs to be put in place. And this particular request is for you to consider establishing 3 correction officers that will be helping on the operations of the satellite courtrooms. Those 3 correction officers, I will ask the board to approve those, and they do have a end date of November 30th, 2020, or prior to that. November 30th, 2022, I'm sorry, is where the lease of that space ends. And also at that point, the board will have the opportunity, if we continue with that approach, to continue those positions or not. But at this point, this is the request for you to create those 3 positions so the Sheriff's Office can start the recruitment process as soon as feasible.
It says the contact is Lieutenant Ray Brady. We don't have a Lieutenant Ray Brady, do we?
Yeah, that is coming on the system, Commissioner. So the system has not been updated.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. And for the public, that means under sheriff. Questions on that one, Ty?
No.
Okay. And B, 3B is the voucher list. And so moving into department items, number 4, the Central Services, the lease extension with the Thurston Mason County Mental Health Triage Center.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you know, the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization, I think that's the right name, currently have lease space on what we call the triage building, and they currently lease 7,465 square feet. As you are aware, this organization, the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization, applied for a grant with the state of Washington Department of Enterprise Services, and they received an award of $1,542,128. And the intent of that particular grant is to expand into the current use of the triage facility, because right now we do have available space behind that facility that is currently utilized in portion by the corrections. So one of the requirements of the grant is they need to have a 15-year lease, so they know that at least their investment is going to be in place for that period of time. So the request for you this morning is for you to consider a 15-year lease of the overall space. And again, with the additional 2,500 square feet, the Department of Commerce grant will build and we remodel. That will bring that to 9,965 square feet for a total lease of $221,422. That's an increase from the $177,616 they currently pay based on the 7,465 square feet. After all said and done with, if you the board agrees to on this 15-year lease, there is an additional 600 square feet. There is still remaining, and that will continue to be occupied by the corrections side of the sheriff's office. Michael Crow is here to answer any questions related to this particular lease.
Romero, you're saying 15-year, but the motion says 11 years. Are they counting the last 4?
Yeah, I think it's based on the current lease. It's just expanding the lease.
That's
So
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have anything to supplement? Romero?
It is correct. The existing lease goes through 2024, and we're extending it out. Want to extend it out to 2035. So it's an extra 11 years on top of the 4 that are in place right now.
Okay. Ty, any questions or comments?
So I guess I didn't understand that the sheriff's office was occupying a portion of that. Have we been working with them so that they know kind of that this has been coming? And I didn't realize that we needed to work with them to figure out their needs. Are they going to be surprised, or have they been as part of the process of working this through?
I believe they have utilized in this portion of this space, and at some point they have a freezer, I believe. But maybe Robin and Michael can elaborate as to what they're currently using this space for.
Yeah, they do have a walk-in cooler in there, and then some storage racks. A good portion of the space is unutilized, and I don't believe that what we're doing with the front part of the building will affect their occupancy.
So basically, the sheriff will be able to leave the freezer and continue to use the small space that they're in, and the BHO will take the remainder of the building.
So it's not going to really affect what they're doing there.
That's my understanding.
I believe that to be correct.
Okay.
The only part that caught me by surprise was the 15-year lease. I was excited about the $1.5 million grant and the expansion and such, but I didn't realize there was that contingency put into it, but I'm okay with it. All right, thank you, Michael. And moving on to number 5, community planning and economic development, transfer of development rights easement.
Yeah, Commissioners, you've received a briefing on October 28, 2020, related to an applicant, Ms. Susan Yuckley, where they like to exercise the program that we have in place to transfer the development rights. This program enables certain agricultural landowners which have some development rights to sell those, and as a result, the land remains in perpetuity as agricultural use. This particular application has applied to certify 9 development rights out of the 50-acre property located in James Road, South and Rochester. I believe the property owner is going to hold 1 of those for the current use, and they plan to utilize the transfer of the remainder development rights. Again, the intent of this is to give the property owners the opportunity to have a financial contribution by selling those development rights within the specific areas identified in the UGA. It's not like just a developer can purchase those rights and apply it everywhere in the county, the specific areas. As you may recall, staff provided you with a map related to this particular approach. And the net result of this action, if you choose to authorize it, will be that particular piece of property will remain in perpetuity for agricultural use, regardless who owns it, because those rights and the use goes with the land, not with the property owner. Andrew DeFalvis is here, who is managing this program at this point, and available to answer any questions you may have.
Morning, Andy. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning. Andy DeFovas, Community Planning and Economic Development. I do not have anything to add. That was a good summary.
All right. Ty, do you have any questions or comments regarding this?
Nope, we reviewed this a few times. I'm good.
Good. Me too. Thank you, Andy.
You.
5B, setting a public hearing for the comp plan docket capital improvement program.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. This is part of your yearly approval process as part of the budget. There is an element the board needs to approve on an annual basis, the capital improvement program, also known as the CIP. In this case, it's for the years 2021 through 2026. This is a 6-year financial plan for capital projects needed to maintain important infrastructure and level of services in our community. Includes funding sources, project costs, project descriptions, all projects that includes transportation facilities, sewer, water infrastructure, solid waste, and stormwater facilities, as well as parks, trails, and county buildings. You receive 2 briefings. The board received 2 briefings, one on July 19th, 2020, and another one on October 22nd, 2020. And that was follow up the Planning Commission holding a public hearing on October 21st, 2020, where they took an action to recommend approval as presented to the Board of County Commissioners. And again, this is this item is for you to set a public hearing for December 8th, 2020 at 6 in the afternoon. And that will coincide with all the budget public hearings that you have scheduled in December. Jennifer Davis is the manager, planning manager with CPED, and she's available to answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, Jennifer. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning. The one thing I want to add, and I can make this clear at the setting of the public hearing this afternoon, is that the board did subsequently to the Planning Commission review direct the addition of a couple of minor projects to the CIP. Adding some recreational courts outside the city of Rainier was one parks project. And there was a project to remodel Building 4 for a resource room for released inmates. Those have been added and updated. And as soon as you set the public hearing this afternoon, we will put an updated draft on our webpage and do our public hearing release so folks know.
Okay, will those 2 ads be mentioned this afternoon, or will be in the action?
I will be in my summary mentioning those 2 ads. It's within the board's discretion to make such changes, and you're holding an additional public hearing, so we should be all good to go.
Perfect, thank you. Ty, any questions or comments of Jennifer of this motion? Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Agenda item number 6 is contract for the federal fiscal year 2020 Homeland Security Grant.
Yeah, Commissioners, this item is for you to authorize receiving a grant for $308,499. And that is comes from the Homeland Security Department. And this for the period of September 1st, 2020 through September 30, 2022. Thurston County Emergency Services is the coordinating agency for the Homeland Security Region 3, which includes counties and cities and tribes in Grace Harbor, Lewis, Mason, Pacific, and Thurston counties. The $308,000 has some specific programs as to how they're going to utilize a portion of that. Just about $13,000 will be kept for management and administration of the funds. $200,000 will be applied to training and exercise programs for 5 county Homeland Security. About $20,000 will be for equipment for Thurston County Special Operations Rescue Team. $25,000 for equipment and supplies for Thurston County Regional Command Unit. to improve situational assessment and operational coordination. About $7,000 will still be earmarked to enhance election security in the future. And just about $44,000 will be for security information event monitoring. And this will be a software application that will increase security, cybersecurity across county offices and departments. Kurt Harding, the Director of Emergency Services, is here if you have any questions related to this item.
Morning, Kurt. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Harden, Director of Emergency Services. That was a good summary. Nothing else to add to that.
Okay. Ty, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, Ramiro, I don't think I understood at the beginning. You kind of rattled off some jurisdictions. Is this a regional grant that we work with the tribes and other counties? Or
Yeah,
I wasn't sure what.
The Homeland Security, and Kurt can further explain this, the Homeland Security has divided the state in so many different regions. So, and we just happen to be in region number 3. And Thurston County takes the lead. So region number 3 includes Gray Harbor, Lewis, Mason, Pacific, and Thurston counties and their associated cities and tribes. And we have been taking the lead for the last few years, in fact. And we are the fiduciary responsible county to manage these grants as well. But Kurt certainly can elaborate on that.
Kurt, can you coordinate with your counterparts in those jurisdictions?
Let me, Commissioner Mentor, if I could add to that or answer that one. The Homeland Security Region 3 has a council that representatives across the 3 counties. Emergency Management is the lead for Thurston County to represent Thurston County on that Homeland Security Region 3 council. And so currently, as an example, the chair of that is the emergency management director from Pacific County, but there are a number of agencies represented, including Thurston County.
Okay. And then the money that is related to cybersecurity, what is that? How does that get deployed in Thurston County? What does that do?
What we're doing is we're working with information technology. We're working with the auditor's office, who has a lead for the cybersecurity task force in Thurston County, to implement that project. And what it's designed to do is help strengthen our cybersecurity efforts across the county. And that particular project, those projects that were listed off, those are specific Thurston County projects. There's other counties for the other, there's other projects for the other 4 counties out there as well. This is just our piece of that.
Okay. I asked that because the board yesterday authorized additional resources for cybersecurity. So hopefully we can make it all fit together and work together and coordinate. So I'm sure you'll be on top of that.
Okay.
Thank you, Kurt. I have nothing further. Takes us to agenda item number 7, Public Works 7A, and that's resolution adopting open parks and trails plan.
Yeah, for your consideration, Commissioners, for you to approve the Parks Open Space and Trails, also known as POST plan. And this an update of the current plan, which includes Parks, Recreation Trails, and Natural Resources Preservation Plan, and acts as a guide and program management document for the county parks and the trail systems. The board was briefed on June 10th, 2020, as well as July 15th, 2020. And as a result of that, you set a public hearing, and you held a public hearing on October 27, 2020, where no public testimony was received. This is the last step in the process, again, for you to consider adopting the plan. Lucy Mills is here from Public Works, if you have any questions related to this proposal.
Good morning, Lucy. Do you have anything to add?
I do not. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ty, anything on the POST plan?
No, I'm good to go.
Nope, nor do I. Thank you, Lucy. 7B, ordinance regarding Black Lake Special District issuance of a bond.
Yes, this is yet one, the last step in the process that has taken a few months for the board to work through the request from the Black Lake Special Use District, which is an independent government body pursuant RCW 8538230. And the Board of County Commissioners, under Ordinance 15930, approve a special assessment for the individuals affected within the boundaries, some individuals affected within the boundaries of the Black Lake Special Use District. And this is a 20-year assessment with intent. There will be a bond they will issue to do some water quality activities within the Black Lake. So this particular item is to conclude the next step by you authorizing the Black Lake Special Use District to issue a $1.4 million bond. I just want to be clear, and I think we have expressed this in many occasions when you've heard this item, by you considering authorizing the Black Lake Special Use District to issue this $1.4 million bond does not bind the county and any liability into the future for any payments and so on and so forth. This is you just authorizing, and the liability, if any, will fall into the Black Lake Special Use District. This has been part of many conversations with the board. Tim Wilson is here, who's managing the lakes and just about everything else, and related to water and public works is available to answer any questions related to the last step.
Hi, Tim, anything to add?
Good morning, Commissioners. Nothing to add at this time.
All right, Ty, anything on this topic?
I didn't realize we had this last step, so glad to move this issue, past this issue, but I guess I'm assuming, I just want to clarify that I'm assuming that there's a state law that requires this step to be taken before the independently elected special district can issue the bond that they've proposed.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we have chewed this up quite a bit, this issue. Thank you, Tim. I have nothing further on that. Agenda item number 8 is where we back cleanup. We talk about our work sessions and assigned committees, and the then the county manager will review our schedule for the next week, and then we adjourn. But we move in right at 3 o'clock or thereabouts into 2 public hearings. And the first one, public hearing A, is a community plan economic development regarding amendment to the CN2 development agreement.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Back in July 30, 2019, the Board of County Commissioners developed an agreement with the developer of CN2 Project, extended the preliminary part approval to January 1st, 2021. That date is coming up, and as you can tell, the COVID-19 emergency has put restrictions in, and they have affected the delivery of some of those construction projects here in the county. So the request for you is you will be receiving public testimony related to this proposal, which this proposal extend the preliminary plat approval from January 1st, 2021 to August 1st, 2021. And the result of this action, it will give the developer of CN2 more time to implement their development. Brett Burris is here to answer any questions related to this public hearing.
Good morning, Brett. Do you have anything to add?
Good morning, Brett Burris, Community Planning, Economic Development, Building and Planning Manager. No, thank you, County Manager. That was an excellent summary.
Ty, do you have any questions?
No.
My only question is, in this motion, I know this is a public hearing, but not knowing where we're going to be in the next 6, 8, 10 months of COVID, this permit extension does not limit them from an additional one if need be next year. Is that correct, beyond August?
There is definitely the possibility to amend the expiration date in the future. I will we can scope out to see what that could look like.
Okay, I just want to be sure there's nothing in there that says you're allowed one extension, period. Not knowing where we're going to be, that they have that option.
I can verify yes or no.
Okay, and that'd be for everybody, not just for Sienna. Great. Well, thank you, Brett. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And the second public hearing is community planning and economic development regarding rural accessory dwelling units.
Yeah, this Commissioner, this is part of the development code docket. That's specifically item A21, which has been docketed since 2018. You also reaffirm this particular item on your 2020-2021 official docket, which was approved in April 2020, which the board placed a priority on number 3 out of the 15 items on the development code docket. The Thurston County Planning, Community Planning, Economic Development Health work, 4 work sessions with the Planning Commission between May 2020 through August 2020. A public hearing with the Planning Commission was held on August 5th, 2020, and a CEPA determination of no significance was issued on September 8th, 2020. A work session with the board was held on September 23rd, 2020, and the public hearing was set on October 13th, 2020. So this afternoon, you will be receiving public testimony related to this proposal. We have already received some written testimony related to this particular proposal. I would assume that you will receive a verbal testimony related to what we have received so far. And again, if you see on your action, staff is not recommending for you to approve this. I think it will be prudent for you to only exercise close at the public hearing this afternoon, weigh in what the comments you might be receiving this afternoon, as well as the comments we have received in writing. And then a future briefing will be scheduled with the board to go through the public testimony. And at that point, the board will provide direction to staff as to what we would like to do with this particular item. Andrew Bond is here to answer any questions.
Andrew, go ahead. Do you have anything to add?
I have 2 things to add. We have a follow-up work session scheduled for December 2nd to iron out any of the remaining details. I also will be forwarding to you guys by noon today the remaining public comments that have been trickling in over the past couple days, and they will be in a PDF as well as just kind of a summary to make it a little bit easier to digest the comments that we received.
Oh, very good. Thank you for that. Ty, any questions or comments on ADUs?
No.
I don't have any regarding this topic, but it's just regarding the public hearing. That these public hearings will be held in the boardroom 280, room 280. And if people want to join in via conference call, you can to make public testimony as well. Then we have the overflow room downstairs, room 150, should sufficient people show up, and we need that as an overflow. Because our boardroom can only handle, is it 8 people, Romero? 10?
Maximum, yeah, including staff is maximum 10 people capacity, yeah.
Okay, so you're welcome to come here to room 280 or room 150 or call in, and you'll still be taken. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
That will conclude the day, and then we get into the Board of Health, and I'm going to turn this over to the Board of Health Chair, and that is Commissioner Ty Menzer.
Thank you. I'm going to keep this pretty brief because we reviewed it last week and we didn't really there weren't any major topics of concern for the board. So Shelley's here and we'll just kind of flip through this quickly, Shelley, if that's okay. Calling the meeting to order at 4 p.m. Now that's slightly different than typical start time, so folks should be aware of that. And depending on the public hearing, that could, correct me if I'm wrong, Ramiro, but that might be later if the ADU public hearing goes late.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so just if you tune in and it hasn't started yet, don't worry, we will get to the Board of Health. Approval of agenda and meeting minutes. We have 3 sets for board approval. We will have an opportunity for the public to address the Board of Health. and that could be significant given everything going on. And then the first item, substantive item, is amendment number 3 to the Lewis County contract for purchase of Nurse Family Partnership Health Services. So Shelley, what is this one about? Remind us.
Yes, sir. This is a request for the Board of Health to approve an ongoing contract, an amendment to our Lewis County contract for Nurse Family Partnership Services in the amount of $309,822. And the reason why this item comes in front of the Board of Health is because RCW 70.05.150 requires the Board of Health to approve the sale or purchase of any health services from another local health jurisdiction. You will also see this item as a financial item on your Board of County Commissioners agenda coming soon. And Gretchen is here if you have any further questions.
Gretchen, I know you were here last time and gave us the rundown. Commissioner Hutchings, any questions for Gretchen or Shelley?
No.
Anything else you need to add, Gretchen, about this item?
No, just that this serves 50 families in Lewis County.
Perfect. Okay, great. That's straightforward. Number 4 will be opioid response update.
Yes, Commissioner. Our Thurston County Opioid Response Coordinator, Katie Strozik, will be in attendance via Zoom to provide an update on the efforts of the Thurston County Opioid Task Force, everything that the task force has done to implement the strategies in the plan that the Board of Health approved since COVID-19. Just as a reminder, the Board of Health declared the opioid epidemic a public health crisis in June of 2018. And part of the outcome of that declaration was to establish a local opioid task force that has been working and meeting every other month to implement strategies within that plan.
Great, Katie Strozik is here and appreciate that. And is there anything that you need us to know up front, Katie?
Nothing more to add. Shelley covered it.
Okay, Commissioner Hutchings, anything for Katie or Shelley?
Nope, just thank you very much for the work you're doing, Katie. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next item will be climate change and health. We have Chris Hawkins here and give us an overview of this one.
This item is to provide a presentation on the health impacts associated with climate change. And Chris Hawkins and team will present on prevention, mitigation, and actions taken in the Thurston County Mitigation Plan to address these health impacts, and update on the work of the Climate and Clean Energy Action Team. And Chris is here to answer any further questions or provide more context.
Okay, any questions for Chris? Chris, you want to add something?
No, Shelley gave a good overview there, so I have nothing more to add until this afternoon.
I have no questions. I just look forward to the presentation.
Yeah, it's timely, and we'll look forward to that, and maybe connecting some dots that we have coming up for the Board of County Commissioners. Okay, those are the 3 kind of weighty items, and then we'll have the Board of Health members report on health-related activities. We'll have a report from our health officer, Dr. Abdulmalik, and then Shelley, you will give the director's report from Public Health and Social Services. Any preview you need to make for us at this point?
I don't believe so, sir. Just to add that we will follow up on some of the questions that came up regarding COVID-19 in the briefing update this morning.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Shelley on that, Commissioner Hutchings?
No, I do not.
Okay, that's it for Board of Health. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Chris, Gretchen, Lydia, the clerk of the Board of Health, and we'll see you guys this afternoon, 4 p.m. or as soon thereafter as it may commence.
Thank you.
All right. Excuse me. That will take us to reviewing the BoCC draft agenda for next week, November 17th. The only thing I have here are the public hearings starting at 4, 2 at 4 o'clock, and then at 5 there's three.
Yeah, commissioners, just to, the actual board county commissioners meeting has been canceled for next week, but you do have public hearings scheduled for that. The reason as to why the board county commissioners had been canceled next week is for the board to attend the annual Washington State Association of County Leaders virtual, usually it's a conference that is held at this time of the year. This is going to be a virtual event, and that's the reason why most of your appointments have been canceled starting on Tuesday, November 17th in the afternoon. I do ask you to break those sessions before 4 o'clock to attend the meetings that are going to walk you through here briefly, the public hearings. And then that Washington State Association of County Leaders virtual event will continue on Wednesday, the 18th, as well as Thursday, the 19th. And all that is on your calendar, and the agenda has also been distributed for you to pick what sessions you'd like to attend virtually. So the public hearings that you have is scheduled for Tuesday, November 17th next week, beginning at 4 in the afternoon. One is for you to consider an extension or the ordinance related to economic security and relief. And that what it does is extends the building and land use applications through December 31st, 2020. It is a continuation of an action that you took early in the year to allow the development community more flexibility related to the impacts of COVID-19. Soon after that, you have a public hearing related to the proposed flow control ordinance related to solid waste management and handling. And that will be your second public hearing at 4 o'clock. At 5 in the afternoon, you have 3 public hearings. One is related to the revenue and property tax changes related to the 2021 budget development. I will give at this point the floor to Robin to explain to you what the items related to that.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. Your public hearing next Tuesday is regarding revenue. State law requires that you hold a public hearing on revenue that supports your proposed budget. And that has to include a component on property tax revenue. And you must approve and certify your property tax levy no later than the end of November. So we have set this public hearing on November 17th. That gives you time to consider any public comment that you may receive, and then certify the levy on November 24th. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead, Ty, any questions?
Nope.
No.
So on your agenda, they are to propose items for you if, as an option, if the board would like to take action on that day. But as Robin stated, you do have some time depending on the public testimony you might receive. And again, closing the public hearing is the action you must take. And the other 2 actions included on your agenda as an option for the board.
All right.
I do see, okay, so under this public hearing item, the first piece of it is straightforward to me. The second piece says, move to approve the resolution certifying to the assessor, authorizing a diversion from the road fund to the current expense fund to, I don't know if that grammar is right, to $1.5 million and authorizing a road levy shift from the road fund to current expense fund in the amount of $1.5 million.
So I'll update the levy shift language. For some reason that is, yeah, that's not the right dollar amount.
Yeah.
So I do apologize. We'll get that fixed.
Okay, the numbers wasn't complete,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
The levy shift is significantly more.
Yeah, as soon as you read it, yeah, I realized the amount was not correct. Yeah.
It's more but less than in few.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll reduce it by 250,000.
250,000. That was the direction of the board. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Now I've got it.
Thank you for catching that. Yeah, thank you, Ty.
Following the public hearing, or soon thereafter, you have another public hearing related to the proposed rate increases on Long Lake, as well as Lake Lawrence on their rates and charges for 2021. And also the third public hearing will be related to proposed park impact fees schedule for as a result of the 2021 study that was conducted. Items items B and C of the public hearings, the board has been briefed on those two items. And again, I will ask you to just hear public testimony and close the public hearing. That's all the public hearings are scheduled for next week.
That's it? 5?
All right. With that, it's almost 10:15. Let's bang out a couple of things more, then take a quick break. Next is proclamations on awards.
Good morning, Amy Davis, Clerk of the Board. This morning there are two proclamations for review. Both have received grammatical revision since inclusion in your packets. The first is to proclaim Wednesday, November 11th, tomorrow, as Veterans Day in Thurston County. Mark Moffitt will be present this afternoon along with members of the Veterans Advisory Board and a couple of county employees. And the courthouse is closed tomorrow in observance. The second proclamation is to proclaim Thursday, November 19th as National Adoption Day in Thurston County. Family and Juvenile Court with the Department of Children, Youth, and Families is holding their National Adoption Day celebration on the 19th at 2:00 p.m. Via Zoom, which will include presentations and scheduled adoption hearings. And Judge Wilson will be joining us this afternoon for this proclamation.
Beautiful. Anything on that, Ty?
No.
Okay. Continue on, Amy, if you don't mind. Advisory boards and commissions.
Yes.
Do we have to?
There are two applications that have been received from John Borden and Robbie Rutledge, both for reappointments to the Agritourism Advisory Committee. Mr. Borden currently serves as vice chair and was first appointed in 2015, and Robbie Rutledge has just served his first 2-year term. So if approved, these reappointments may be included on today's agenda since there's no board meeting next week, or we can circle back on Tuesday, the 24th.
Are there any other applicants? Obviously, I'm sure you'd bring it to our attention if there was, but are both of these terms are expiring and these are just timely requests to be reappointed?
Yes, Mr. Borden's term currently expires January of 2021, and Mr. Rutledge's term expires the end of December this year. And so they are both reapplying for reappointment, and there are 2 other additional open seats on the committee, and there have been no further applications received.
So do these, in one application left Commissioner District blank, the other one said Commissioner District 3. Are these seats have to be by Commissioner District? Does that matter? Some boards it does, some boards it doesn't, I know.
Let's see. This one, oh, go ahead, Ramiro.
Good question. Because I think both are Commissioner. This one is 3, the other one is blank, and I don't know if it was just.
Well, Tenino is in District 1, so that's probably a safe bet.
Yeah,
We'll check that and, yeah.
The reason I ask is if they're at-large seats and there's 2 open seats anyway, then I would just say reappoint them. But if they're district specific, and for example, District 3 is full, then I think we should probably wait and give, if it's not expiring until January, it might make sense to just give another few weeks for any potential applicants who might want to apply. Plus, Commissioner Edwards hasn't weighed in, and so I don't see any reason to rush this on today when we haven't heard from Commissioner Edwards.
No, not at all. We can wait till the 24th or even beyond because we've got time.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Amy. And let's take a break now. It's 10:15. Let's take a 15-minute break, and we'll be right back 10:30. Thank you. break, and we're continuing on with our work session. And we're now to the PIO check-in, and we have Brian Dominique in the house. As soon as he gets to his microphone.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Manager. Brian Dominique, Public Information Officer for the Board of County Commissioners. As Amy Davis mentioned, tomorrow is Veterans Day. The county facilities will be closed. We sent out a news release last week letting the public know about that. We'll also post some things on social media as well, just to make sure the word gets out. And I am also working with the Information Technology Department to create a web page on county facilities operations for COVID-19 that we can update as the situation changes. This will just be a more robust page that more captures the stuff that's in the red banner on the page now. Just more information on offices and departments and the resources they provide. And I am also working on the 2020 annual report for the Public Information Office and the 2021 communications plan for our office. Pending any questions, that's all I have.
Ty, any questions or comments for Brian?
Oh, sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
Nor do I, Brian. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Ramiro, legislative update.
Yeah, at noon today, I have a meeting with a shared legislative agenda, which is an agenda on all Thurston County region, includes the cities, the Port of Olympia, Lod, and the major cities as well. So as soon as that is somewhat of a final draft, I will share with the board what the items will be. And also, I assume that I have not received any comments on the county's legislative agenda, so I assume those is finalized, so I can have a final product on that. And also, I'd like to inform you that we have already secured the services of Deborah Manguia for 2 years. And in fact, I just signed that contract for her to join us in the next 2 years. So that's all my update related to the legislative agenda update.
It's a coup to have Deborah. She's so good at what she does, and well respected on the Hill. She really is.
Agree.
Ty, anything to add?
I don't think so. I know we've got the, if I remember correctly, we've got the keeping our judicial impact fees steady. And I'm wondering if you've heard any noises or any concerns about that from Deborah or elsewhere.
No, I have not heard, but certainly I can probably follow up with her and see if she can do some research on that.
I'm sure we'll get into it. I was just curious if you'd heard anything. I mean, how concerned do we need to be about that being impacted? You know, with the state budget, it feels like some things that might have been safe a year ago might be less safe just because of the state looking for extra resources.
I agree on that. Yeah.
Right. Briefings or public hearing decisions pending.
Nothing is pending for you, commissioners.
All right. That takes us to commissioner items, and the first is hiring exceptions.
If I may, Commissioner, could I amend the agenda suggested 2 more items? They just came to our attention that we'd like to walk you through. One is related to the Tilly campus, and one of the, I believe is building A, that was the old road shop, and it was remodeled as a result when the whole Tilly campus was constructed. In the last, I believe, 4 or 5 days, we have gotten a lot of leaks on the roof. And what I'm hearing is the leaks are becoming a little more complicated to fix it. So Robin is going to walk you through some of the options that perhaps we may have to address this need.
All right.
Okay, so I received notice yesterday that the facilities team was taking a look at Tilly And the note I have is from building B, so.
Oh, building B, thank you.
Yeah. I had heard it was A, but it must be B. We'll find out for sure. In any case, there is water that is coming from a drain pipe, water from the roof, and repairs had been made at the point where they thought the leak was. But what it appears is that there has been water running down the walls between the internal and external walls. There's quite a bit of damage, and both to the exterior and the interior walls. And we are bringing in a consultant, a construction consultant, hopefully today, to try to do a little investigative work. We may need to remove the exterior metal, and this could turn into a very large repair project at the Tilley campus. I do not have a price estimate yet. I won't be able to give you that until we see just how big it is, but I may be coming back to you for emergency contract approval within the next week or so. So just to let you know. And once I know the amount, we'll be able to determine how to pay for that, whether it's building reserve or another fund. But we got to figure out the magnitude first.
What building is B?
So Romero?
Yeah, the building B is when you see the new building right up front, is the one in the back where you go through the breezeway.
Okay.
That's where the road shop is the building B. And that building, I believe, was part of the old road shop before the whole campus was developed or redeveloped.
So it's an older building.
Well,
it is, but I thought that it was remodeled along with the rest of the campus 9 years ago.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, the big fear is that this problem has been going on since the remodel.
Since the remodel. So is it under warranty? Or is there any liability back on somebody else for putting a pipe that leaks up there?
No, it would be well beyond the time limit when we could address something like that.
Yeah, the public works director is listening to this conversation, and she confirmed it's building A.
It is building A.
Yeah.
I'll get to you in just a moment. Do we know what the consultant is going to cost us?
No, but just bringing someone on site today to help us try to scope the work shouldn't be much. And we'll work with someone that we have on one of our on-call contracts.
Okay, go ahead, Ty, if you have any questions or comments.
So not that I know the different buildings and their letters, but is building A then the same building you described, Ramiro? You just had the letter wrong?
Is one of the older buildings, yes. Because in the back is building A, building B. Yeah, in the front is building C.
Dang,
This is the reason that we have a building reserve, and it's not robust enough.
You say there's major damage possible. And when I think of a roof leak and a pipe leak, I'm thinking of district court where it was just pouring right down through the ceiling, the acoustic ceiling by the lamps and the lighting. Is this just interior wall, or is it impeding people's their workstations and such?
Well, it was brought to our attention because apparently there was standing water in someone's office.
And in fact, it's in Lucy Mills' office.
Yeah.
Where the main, so it is affecting the operations.
Like here's a picture of the rot that they're seeing inside the wall. This is
that can't be good.
Yeah, no, it's looking pretty bad.
So this has been an ongoing, doesn't appear to be just a new leak based on those pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not new.
All right. More on that later then as it develops.
Yeah, more to come, but I wanted you to be aware.
Thank you.
Also,
Did you have another one you're adding?
yes, sir, is related to the coronavirus relief fund. As you know, we have done just about everything that we can in our capacity to make sure that we don't leave any money on the table. And as you may recall, you give us the authority on November 23rd, we will be sweeping all the unspent, uncommitted funds to make sure that we take advantage of the coronavirus relief fund. And anything, the fallback strategy, as you may recall, we will claim additional correction expenses. That is the strategy. But also, we're currently working with as to how we can really push forward in terms of some of the contracts and projects that you already allocated some funds. So Robin is going to be meeting with, I recall, I believe, Dennis Osorio, and today at noon, just to make sure that we start looking, going through all the different projects to ensure that, in fact, we meet that deadline. As a result of that, I believe, and Robin can elaborate on this a little bit more, this coming Thursday, we may ask you to authorize some contracts related to that. So if that is the case, we'll meet in the morning related to the budget as we schedule that. Soon after that, I will add on the agenda additional items for you to authorize some contracts. So Robin, if you want to elaborate on that, that would be great.
So I know of one contract that is pending that has not come before the board yet. But we think that we should be able to, it's for the PPE tracking software for emergency management. We do believe that we can get the software on site and make the payment timely. So I'll be talking to Dennis about that. And then we're going to run down the rest of the list of items that were approved in IT to ensure that all of those are going forward, or what is the strategy if they're not currently projected to be completed by November 23rd. And then I'll be taking a quick look at the rest of the list to make sure that everything that you've approved is on track to be completed. And we should have an update for you on that on Thursday.
Okay, go ahead, Ty.
You guys shot me down on this in the past, but yet again yesterday at the WASAC conference thing, it came up about the in terms of the courthouse lease. Somebody was asking about leasing like an alternate town hall, like a community center, so they could be socially distanced for city council meetings. And the state guidance folks said that as long as you're not, they said, if A, that's how you normally pay your lease, or B, that's the only lease that was offered. As long as you're not like you didn't need to, but you prepaid ahead to make it to try to circumvent the rule, then you were okay. And it felt to me like we fell into that second category where that was the only lease offered to us. That was the only lease term. It's not a normal course of business. We didn't lease course space, but the second category of that being the only option seemed like we were squarely there, and we're not prepaying ahead beyond what's necessary. So I'm still not sure why that court lease doesn't qualify.
So the U.S. Treasury guidelines specifically state that you must follow your policy, and county policies do not allow for prepayment of costs. We've never prepaid a lease, and we've had our internal auditor review this on at least 2, if not more, occasions just to check. We constantly watch the guidelines to see if they have changed. And Brandon's guidance to us is that would not qualify.
Okay. I'm sure you guys are just a little deeper in the weeds than what we get at that level.
We have, we really wanted to do that.
Yeah,
That
it just
would have
catches
been
my
an
attention
ideal
because
use.
it sounded like it fits, but
Yeah, no.
okay.
So
All right.
on Thursday morning, Commissioners, you will see a little bit of a change on the agenda. That it will include more than just review the budget decisions that you just made.
All right, thank you. Going back to looking at Commissioner items number 1, the hiring exceptions, is there these 2 positions, is this something we want to hold so Commissioner Edwards can weigh in on them as well?
You know, I don't know if that's your preference. My suggestion is I don't think he had any issues with these 2 positions because he was given the agenda ahead of time.
Okay.
But it's up to you. If you want to hold to get his perspective, that's within your purview. My suggestion is for you to authorize the hiring freeze for the senior appraiser and also the office assistant, senior office assistant in central services. But whatever the desire of the board is, it is.
Well, we would potentially only need him if there's a split vote on either one of those 2 between me and Commissioner Menser. But I'm a thumbs up on both of them.
I always like to confirm, these are positions that came vacant?
That is correct. They're not new positions, it just became vacant as, and the assessor, the senior assessor, the appraiser, I'm sorry, in the assessor's office. So you may recall that's part of the larger plan the assessor had in moving and shifting some positions. So I believe this is the last step in that plan that he had in mind. And the senior assessor, I'm sorry, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I remember that. There's been several pieces of that, but the hiring freeze is, or pause, however we wanted to, how long does that last indefinitely until we switch it, or was that for the rest of 2020, or that may be something we want to alter in light of the current situation rather than having to continue to go through this?
Certainly, the board can take an action anytime, but what I was planning is for you to continue on through December 31st, 2020, and I will bring a new item early in January for you to revisit if you'd like to continue to have this action on your agenda, and maybe for you to consider lifting the hiring freeze, because I believe the hiring freeze was the intent was going through the end of this year. But again, the board is in the position to lift that particular item anytime.
And my recollection was through the end of the year to be reviewed in January.
Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure it was, if it's just kind of a vestige of it's ongoing and we weren't thinking about the fact that we may be in a position to modify that. But it sounds like we have a plan for addressing it, so it's fine.
Okay. So you have a thumbs up from 2 of us then on those 2 positions. Public testimony? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I think on item X10, I thought that County Manager was going to review his proposed response on Black Lake shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I was planning to go through the 2 items because I believe Mr. Terry Ballard submitted paperwork to me related to one particular item that he stated that it was a voting fraud. And the information, and I think I feel that I need to highlight this matter. The paperwork that he submitted to me, it was related to Ms. Carolina Mejia. And he was making an argument that perhaps it was a voting fraud related to, and I'd like to address this afternoon because although that he didn't mention in his testimony that it was her, but he submitted paperwork related to this item. My response this afternoon is going to be that this matter was already dealt in front of a judge and it's a non-issue. That will be my response this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
And the other item is the Black Lake shooting. So there's a lot of stuff. Nothing is easy. So the only thing, so I believe I stand corrected that I think I mentioned to the board that perhaps it needs to be added to the docketing process next year, confirmed with the staff that perhaps that's not the case, that perhaps we just need to process this on a different path, which is, first of all, we need to find who will be the lead on this, because at this point, the enforcement arm on no shooting zones is the sheriff's office. But also, who would like to change the policy, that will be something that we need to explore. Now, to fully scope this issue, it needs to be included research of the law, WFW hunting regulations, understanding enforcement responsibilities, mapping the affected areas they may be considered. And also there will be a lot of public outreach that needs to be put in place. And leading to perhaps a public hearing where the board may consider having an ordinance resolution in place for you to consider that. So although there is no part of the docketing process the board may consider adding next year, it is going to take some time. And staff has provided some information that perhaps is going to take maybe 8 to 9 months to fully go through this public process, because there's a lot of moving pieces in terms of enforcement. There's a lot of moving pieces in terms of determining the area. There's a lot of moving pieces as to reaching out to the community as to provide the adequate feedback, leading to a public hearing and eventually before the board consider taking a final action. So that's really the feedback that I want to provide this afternoon in terms of setting the stage as to what we need to do. The key point of this is who will probably take the lead. I have talked to Katie Johnson, my executive assistant, and her and I probably going to have to take the lead on this. And again, it's going to be a few steps that we need to do in terms of research, in terms of identifying what area, if any, and additional restrictions on shooting, no shooting zones will be implemented. So you have received a lot of feedback on this, and some of the email that you receive is to do an action as soon as possible. And this is the soonest possible. And I just want to make sure that we set the stage as to we don't have an unrealistic expectations by the public. That is something that board cannot just act on something that's so complex in the next week, too, or perhaps in the next month. So that will be my response to the comment related to the non-shooting on the Black Lake.
This is not the first time that I've heard the Black Lake shooting incident over the last 4 years. I've had other constituents over the last 4 years comment on shooting zones that we have in the county that are outdated because it might have been open land. Now there's some development and people are on the outskirts of shooting. And as I was told when it was researched a year or two ago, that this is typically updated when we go through a redistricting or reboundaries or whatever we do at the county level. Then we look at the shooting zone. So you explain the process very in-depth, depthly and in-depth process to include all the moving pieces. However, this has a public safety component to it. That we're not talking about restriping a lane or closing a road. This has an emergency type urgency to it in my estimation, just based on the public testimony we received a week and 2 weeks ago, especially on the lake. So when you're looking into this, if you wouldn't mind checking, unless you already know, if there's some type of an emergency clause that will hurry up this 8 or 9 months, to set something up, whether it be temporary until it's researched, or if there's a way we can expedite the process, I would appreciate that. I know the public would. They're impacted by it far more than I am.
Based on what I know, I can certainly explore that, Commissioner. Based on what I know at this point, I don't think there's any emergency clause perhaps the board has, because even if you, and it's because the relationship with WFW and how that really plays a role, whether you have the authority to prevent that on their land or not. That is, and I will hate to bring an item, I understand the sense of urgency. I don't want to diminish that, but I will hate to bring an item for the board to consider if down the road becomes something that is not sustainable.
Yeah, I get that.
You have to reverse it.
Not really.
And I do respect and I do appreciate the sense of urgency, but based on what I know at this point, I don't think the board has any options to implement any restrictions on without giving you other information.
All right, Ty?
So a couple things. What I understand about the real dangerous thing that's going on is people not actually following the rules that are there. And Washington, and my understanding from the citizens that have given me input, I haven't done the legal research. And as Ramiro said, it's very complicated. What I've seen is that WDFW, and I've seen the videos where they have come out. So I know that it's true that they respond, because I've got videos provided by citizens of conversations between citizens and WDFW enforcers discussing what's going on. So the real emergency situation, I think, really falls within the purview of the state to enforce the rules that are there. Now, I think a bigger term issue is whether, what authority the county has to sort of set the rules or to influence the rules or tweak the rules. And I'm very curious about it. I'm just curious. And I don't want to start a 9-month process because I don't have a position on this. I'm just worried about what I saw in the videos and the testimony I got about people's safety. So, I mean, and again, Ramiro and Katie, I mean, if there's a way to kind of give the board a preliminary, before we go too deep in the water, if we can get sort of a preliminary overview so we can sort of make sense of whether it makes sense for us to proceed, then that's kind of what I'm looking for, because there's just too much complexity for me to even know what our authority is as county commissioners and what all the different pieces of it are. Because, hunting is something that's recreational. It's something that's used for wildlife management. It's something there's different things about it. And just looking at it from one point of view isn't going to give us what we need. We really need to see it from all the different points of view. So that's what I'm looking for, just in case that's helpful, Ramiro. I mean, I was not trying to trigger this lengthy public process that you're describing. I haven't got there yet. I just but I do need quite a bit more information before I can make that decision. And I had the same question that it sounds like you had, which is who would I turn to? I mean, who's the staff? It wasn't clear to me who on our various staff expertise could dial this up, which is why I brought it to the board. I brought it to the board the morning before we got that public testimony, and that was a coincidence. I did not know those citizens were coming in, but it was good timing because it kind of brought all the issues together. But it seems like we all understand, there's a lot of complexity. There's a potential safety issue. There's a potential role for the board, but we're not really sure what that is. And so, I appreciate the effort to try to figure out who can pull the information together. But I guess I'm trying to articulate that I would appreciate, I don't want to spend any more time than is warranted by the board's appetite and concern. And there may be sort of a preliminary review we need, and then we can authorize it to go forward if we feel it's.
On point, and well stated, Commissioner. The process that I just outlined to you is the 30,000 foot level process. Even I myself needs to better understand what that really means. So one of the first steps is to start diluting that 30,000 foot level process. And you're on point. We'll bring back to the board as to when we have a little more concise information that you can put your hands around, and perhaps at that point give you the option, if the options will be to continue on with this larger process or maybe others. And at this point, I don't know if there's any other options. And that's the difficulty that I have in responding to some of the comments today.
Well, that's cool. And if you can just like in your response today, like just kind of make it clear what you just said there at the end, that you're going to be sort of bringing it back to the board with a little more clarity about what the
Yep, I'll do that.
Public knows that we're.
Yep.
Be very helpful. Thank you. I'm going to get into, did you have any public testimony? Is that all done now then?
Those are the only two items that I need to follow up.
Okay. Before we get to the executive session, I'll ask Commissioner Menser any commissioner items you want to bring up?
And just double check my list. No, I don't. I wanted to ask about that court lease, but Robin gave me a good opportunity to do that. So that was the only thing short list.
Okay. The only thing I want to bring up is on the heels of yesterday completing the piece of the budget going line by line, that major piece, that I want to compliment my seatmates and Romero and Robin and her staff, because yesterday's discussion, the last few times we've discussed these line by line, we had a good, robust discussion, good debate. It remained professional, friendly, and respectful, even though we disagreed. But all in all, this was an excellent example of civility, and that makes me proud to be a county commissioner. So thank you all very much for that. And that's all I have. Commissioner Edwards, I see you've joined us. Do you have anything for the good of the order? We're going to move into an executive session if you don't.
I don't have anything for the good of the order. I've been monitoring from afar and just looking forward to the executive session. I wanted to be here.
All right. So then this meeting is adjourned, and we're going to move into an executive session under a different.
Give me a second. Somebody's on.
Robin's got her hand up.
Robin, yeah.
Hey, Michael.
I do have, because Romero.
Yeah.
I am requesting that Michael Crow can join the executive session.
That's what I want to make sure that I recognize that conversation. Yep. Okay.
So we're remaining on this Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Give us a minute. So can you read the RCW and related, please?
Yes, November 10th, 2020. And it's 11:04 hours in the morning, and we're going into an executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110 subsection B to consider the selection of a site or the acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase when public knowledge regarding such consideration would cause a likelihood of an increased price. Building availability and Commissioners action may follow. This is expected to last how long? Half an hour?
Yeah, half an hour should be more than enough.
Okay, we'll say 30 minutes max then at this point.
Before you go into the executive session, just got a note, I'm going to be bringing a brand new item this afternoon for your consideration. And this is related to amendments to the current contract that will come with Providence in terms of the testing. We need to renew that contract as soon as feasible for $250,000, and that is covered by the CRF funding. So speaking of some of the late-minute contracts, so I appreciate your indulgence to this, and I want to make sure the public understands that I don't want to surprise the board with a new item, but this item is coming this afternoon for your consideration.
Okay. All right. So now we're going into executive session.
So thank you.